Hello, everyone. My name is Raj. I'm also part of the product team at Google, and specifically, I'm part of the file storage team. And today, I think Dave mentioned that there is no single AI workload per se, right? So it's a spectrum, and there's a lot of workloads that the past conversations have talked about. So today, I'll talk about like agents in particular, and how you can ground them in the truth that is like bespoke and custom to a particular organization, and how we can like build them really fast. And we are looking to do this by building the bridges that's required between the AI and app building ecosystem that exists on Google with Google Cloud NetApp Volumes, which is a first-party offering of the ONTAP based storage service. So why agents, right? So agents uh, are a great way to kind of like share data. In some senses, they kind of elevate the experience of like portals and dashboards, and they tend to be very interactive, very personalized, and efficient. And you can think about like many organizations have pockets of expertise, right? So this kind of gives a new way to interact with that expertise in a natural way, and get better experience out of it, right? And for agents to be effective, right, so they have to be grounded in the truth, right? And this is really needed because the generalized LLMs that are available, they kind of have a very generic understanding of the global truth, but feeding them with the bespoke data that the enterprises have accumulated, that kind of like makes it contextual for that particular organization, right? And uh, also, there are a couple of challenges that kind of come with this. The enterprise truth kind of evolves. It's something that keeps changing, right? So something that to keep in mind is like, how do you keep that updated? And therein kind of comes the data integration challenges of like, a lot of this could be distributed across like multiple systems within the organization. They could be on-prem, they could be in the cloud, right? How do you kind of like seamlessly get them into the AI tool sets, right? And of course, like the last part is the governance part of it, right? So you want to make sure that the data that you're comfortable to share is shared with the right set of like end users, right? So, and this all needs a enterprise grade, development ecosystem that has the knobs and the capabilities to manage all of this, right? So what Vertex is kind of Google's flagship platform for AI app builders, right? So you can think of it as consisting of three groups of capabilities, right? So there's a model garden where you can choose from first party, third party, or even like open source models from places like Hugging Face, right? So it kind of has a component where you can bring those kind of models into your app. Then there is the model builder class of like capabilities, which is really focused on like building a very custom model that makes sense for your business. And then the agent builder is the component that really handles everything that's needed to responsibly and reliably build agents, right? And uh, the agent builder combines a bunch of like capabilities, right? So it combines like orchestration, kind of capabilities. It has grounding, capabilities, and there's a lot of nuance in grounding itself in terms of like the confidence intervals of like what these LLMs can output and which of it you want to control and be exposed. And of course, like data can come in like different formats. So there is a little bit of extracting what's needed to so that LLMs can work on that. Those kind of capabilities. So and also there is this is an important part is the experience part of it, right? So I was at NetApp Insight last week, and there's a statement that was kind of made there about like for any new technology to kind of like reach its potential, it has to be accessible to the maximum number of people as possible. So by delivering, the agent builder gives you like no code, low code, as well as like full code type of development experiences, right? So this kind of empowers the maximum number of people in the organization to kind of participate in this and then try to add value, right? And NetApp Volumes, just a few words on that is it is a first-party service, Google first-party service. It is based on the proven ONTAP storage stack from NetApp. So everything that a NetApp storage admin is kind of used to, pretty much is compatible with that. And what we are doing here, right, is bridging the Vertex, the rich ecosystem of development tooling that's available in Vertex to the data that's sitting on NetApp, right? And essentially, what in terms of Vertex AI speak, the NetApp volumes will now be able to be added as a data store within Vertex AI. And once you have a data store, the entire development experience kind of becomes available to that particular data store, right? And it gives you ability to create these agent apps, test them, fine tune them, and then very quickly integrate them into the surfaces where your users are actually interacting with your organization. This could be a portal, this could be a chat, a surface, etc. Right? So no amount of slideware is actually going to really get this message deep. So I have a demo here. I'll kind of walk through this. Okay. So really, the first part of this is that I kind of briefly talked about this. Your data can be sitting in many places. It could be on-prem. It could, in fact, be in other clouds too, right? And really, what NetApp Volume enables here, right, is SnapMirror is a replication technology that NetApp uses. And if you've ever spoken to any NetApp storage admin, it's sort of a religion, right? So it's something that they trust and proven. And from a technical capability perspective, it's a very efficient way to keep your data synced between two different points. So once you get the data here, right, this kind of build out. So once this data comes into NetApp Volume, right? Another thing I want to say here is that NetApp Volume is also a production storage in the sense that we have customers who are using it as their essentially primary storage also. So what we expect, yeah.
Real quick question, because we've jumped into NetApp Volumes, and before we were talking about Fuse and other things. I think my question was more along the lines of that's actually a lot, right? We've covered probably 6 different solutions to pick from. And now we're all the way up to NetApp Volumes, which become the end data stores for these agents, right? We want agentic experiences. My question was less about how do we use Vertex to build end user experiences, and what are we doing on the AI side of things to make everything that comes before this easier for the people trying to set up these systems as opposed to easier for the end user. Does that make sense? Are you investing at all in AI internally with all of that work that you're doing to help people, once you understand where they're putting their data, how they're using it, help them improve that? Because it feels like there would be a ton of trial and error for me trying to figure out the optimal path for what I'm trying to build.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. A lot of you might have seen this picture, right? A couple of years ago, I've seen where it was about how do you derive value out of AI? It's like a bunch of boxes, and the AI and ML is like a small box in the middle of it, and then everything else that's needed to kind of make this happen, right? What you see with all the investments here, right, is that we're trying to meet the customer where they are, right? And this particular session is about the integration part of it, right? The data that they already have, right? How do you natively integrate into the AI building experience, which is an essential part of, how they derive value. Dave, go ahead.
There's a huge effort across cloud to adopt our specific first-party technology, Gemini, into the product and do that in a consistent way across all parts of the stack. Manjul's going to talk about it a little bit, I think, when he talks about one application of it is managing your storage at scale with sort of Gemini-assisted insights.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so let me talk about how this works. Let this build out. Yeah. So to demonstrate this, essentially, the context I have here is this is a portal which has some amount of information about wildlife in India. Okay, it begins life as a very static portal. You have a bunch of links, and the main way customers would interact with this is look for links, read it, process it, and then get what they really want out of this particular portal, right? And uh, also, for the sake of this demonstration, assume that the operator of this website has a lot of contextual data. They have a lot of documents, and it's sitting in a file share somewhere, right? And they want to leverage that to kind of elevate the user experience of this particular portal, right? And we'll talk about, the first part of this is how do you connect it, right? So uh, this particular file share is where all of this data exists, right? And within what we're doing here, right, is enable adding this as a data store within Vertex AI Agent Builder, right? And Vertex AI Agent Builder itself, in addition to NetApp Volumes, it also enables you to connect other data systems, right? In fact, things like SAP systems, Salesforce, etc., right? So there is an opportunity here to kind of really have agents that are very rich in their understanding of that enterprise's context, right? So, and the way you create the NetApp, volume-based data store is very simple. You kind of identify where exactly this particular volume is, give it some hints on what type of data exists, right? Specify where you want to store the indices that gets generated, so that you can kind of meet your governance needs, right? And give it a name, right? So this basically now is available for building. And what happens when you build this data store is the data starts syncing into the Vertex tenant, and then the indexing process starts. And once this data store is created, right, now you can use this within the app building ecosystem. And specifically for this particular demonstration, what we'll show is two no-code type of use cases to elevate the user experience, and then a low-code type of a user experience. The agent kind of entry point is for more complex systems implementations. So we'll start with kind of the chat agent, right? And really, it's very simple to kind of build a chat experience. You're essentially starting with a well-defined, well-lit entry path, right? Where you're selecting kind of this particular data store, right? And in its very simple implementation, this is it, right? So now your chat agent is available, right? It's ready to be used. But it also, this is where the kind of the integration kind of becomes very powerful. It has direct links into Diagflow CX, which is kind of a very full-scale, development, testing, and configuration kind of environment, right? So where it gives you many things, it gives you a lot of pre-built flows. For example, if this were a financial website, right? So where you want to put a authentication type of a challenge, to begin with, and you want to do an OTP-based authentication, kind of gives you starter flows, right?
Yeah. These kind of prompt templates in a sense, or something different?
It's more user flows in the sense that let's say you want to do an OTP kind of thing, right? So you want to first validate whether the customer is a legitimate customer, right?
It's the conversational flow, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it gives you an opportunity to kind of automate that, right? And integrate with other systems that you may have, internally. It also gives you ability to configure some of the very LLM specific type of parameters, let me pause here, right? So this is what I was talking about, where one of the things that you can get back, once the data is indexed, is indicator of the confidence of how confident the response is accurate, right? And it gives you ability to kind of control which of those you want to kind of expose to your end users. And also, as you can see at the top, menu there, there are many groups of configurable parameters that exist here, right? And we're still talking about like not writing a single line of code here, right? So once this is kind of all done, the next part is like, how do you take it to your end user surfaces where your users are interacting, right? Again, follows a very simple method of like giving you a code block that can be directly cut and pasted into your end user website. And here, I'm just essentially adding that particular code block, save and refresh. And now you have the agent available, right? So let's kind of give it a test, right? So the question here is like, how many tigers, what's the tiger population, right? So again, it gives you the response and also kind of gives you reference to like which document that particular information came from. And give me one second here. And so this is kind of the chat agent part of it, right? Yeah. So again, it's kind of a trend kind of thing. So the search agent is another no-code type of implementation. So I already have this created here. And the thing I want to kind of show here is that also, models also come in like different sizes and cost, right? So it gives you ability to like, depending on your specific use case and the budget, you can specify which model you want to use for this particular agent. And again, this is a full semantic search, right? So it's not a text pattern matching type of search. And the integration flow is like very similar. So here, the essentially asking a question about like Asiatic elephants, and really there are two aspects of kind of the outcome that the type of experience you can deliver for the customers here. So one is like the summary, yeah? So which is it's almost like asking a friend for some information, somebody who's very knowledgeable, right? And also suggestions on like what next to ask, right? So that type of experience can be easily delivered now. Like this is like very easily possible to be delivered for like almost any of your data sharing type of use cases. And the last one is something very interesting for me is this is a low code type of experience. So this is a recommendation agent, right? So here we're enabling a discovery type of a flow for the user. And here, in order to implement this, is a very simple implementation. It's a form which takes a bunch of inputs, but then like those inputs can be used to query the indices to deliver some very interesting responses. So we're asking like, tell me about the national parks where I can look for tigers in the state of Maharashtra. This is the state that Mumbai is the capital of. And so I'm going to ask, so here really I'm trying to look for what's the best time to go, where to go to look at tigers, look for tigers, right? So it told me that there are 2 national parks where you can find, right? And now I want to dig deeper, right? Again, this is a discovery kind of a flow where I'd like to go to Tadoba in November, right? So what it comes back and tells me is that November is a fantastic time to go. Your probability of like animal sightings are like very high. Weather is great, right? But life happens, things change. So now I want to like say, how about June, right? I want to find a good time, right? So in June it says no, really not exactly a great time because it's going to be the monsoon and your probability of seeing tigers is going to be very low. How about April, right? So here you kind of get a response that yes, April is actually a fantastic time to go, but it can get really hot. Pack appropriately, right? So really, this is a very simple implementation of like how you can, with minimal amount of like coding, enable very rich experiences for your end users, and all of this interaction is like with natural language, right? So really, the key takeaway I want you to take from here is that with the NetApp integration, there's a lot of customers who have accumulated a lot of like enterprise contextual data, right? This integration kind of brings that data and makes it easy to connect to cloud-based AI building capability, right? And very easily productionize that by integrating into your end user application.